I've always been interested in the brain. When I was in primary school, there was someone that came to my school that was a neurosurgeon, and he talked about his career. And since then, I've always wanted to study the brain, and I've always wanted to help people with brain injuries. I'm very interested in how the brain works and what happens when it doesn't work. What happens to those individuals that show an altered behavior, what is going on in their brains. So at the moment, we're working on a proof of concept study that we're hoping to then take to the stroke clinic to be able to treat patients with acute stroke, so patients that had the stroke recently, over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So at the moment, we're just working on that proof of concept. We're working on the techniques, and once we have the ideal approach, then we will take it to the clinic and try it out in the patients. My aim, my hope, is that I can improve the life of patients or individuals living with a stroke, so that there is a faster, better intervention in the hospitals, and we can try and tap into that brain plasticity that is still there in the part of the brain that hasn't been affected by the stroke, so that the part of the brain that hasn't not been affected by the stroke can take over some of the functions of the part of the brain that has been affected, and the neurons can reorganize themselves. And I'm just hoping to make people's lives better.
So far, the majority of brain stimulation research that has been done with TMS has focused on looking at the function of an area, of a particular brain area. However, we know that the brain has different brain areas, and these different brain areas, they work together, like in an orchestra. So it is important for us to start looking at the brain dynamics with brain stimulation. So one way of doing that, which is what we're doing in this lab that is new to the field, is we are applying this new TMS technique that allows us to look at changes in brain plasticity within the pathways connecting different areas. And we can also look at the function that one brain area has over another anatomically connected area with this technique. Rather than studying one single area, we study the brain network, so the network of brain areas that are interconnected and how this network works. So I'm gonna target the motor brain area, specifically the part of the brain that controls for this muscle here. So in the brain, in the motor part of your brain, each of the body parts are controlled by a specific subsection of this motor region. So it's like you have a representation of your body all along your motor cortex, your motor area. So what I'm going to do is that with a TMS coil, I can precisely reach the brain area in the motor cortex that controls for your hand muscles, particularly this muscle here. Okay? So I'm going to put a sensor on your muscle so that when I stimulate in your brain, in this area, then the stimulation is going to create a change of activity in this brain area, and it's going to travel all the way through your spinal cord, contralaterally to your hand. Okay? Yeah, there we go. So that's an MEP, and you twitch your hand, didn't you? Yeah. So it's a twitch, nice twitch in your hand, and there's a nice long MEP. So there's probably a lot of intensity for you. So I'm going to go down to 65. To still see the nice MEP. Yeah. So that is, I'm targeting that muscle in your hand where I'm recording, and you can see the twitch there. So the idea of this experiment is I'm going to deliver a number of pulses in this muscle and in the contralateral analogous. So we're using 2 coils because we want to manipulate the connections between 2 brain areas. So by stimulating 2 brain areas at almost the same time, you can create some changes, some electrical changes in the connections between the areas. And that's why we're using 2 coils. So now we're delivering pulses to your right motor cortex and your left motor cortex.
We are trying to investigate the roads of the brain. So we're trying to see how information travels from one place in the brain to another place in the brain. In case that road is somehow broken, for example, in individuals with a stroke. So stroke patients have a lesion in a particular area, and it might break this, this lesion might break these roads. And so we're trying to get an understanding of how these roads in the brain work, so that then we can help regenerate those broken connections in stroke patients, for example.